Hey everybody, how's it going? It's Paul, I'm with DiceyReview.com, and tonight we are going to be doing a full solo playthrough of Lucidity, Six-Sided Nightmares. So there are a few changes to setup, and I'll briefly talk about the differences between the gameplay, but after that we're just going to dive right in, and I'm going to see if I can beat the Lady of Envy here, which has proven to be pretty tough. So I will go ahead and explain the differences in setup. The main difference is you're not going to be using the Nightmare cards out in the middle. You're going to be using the reverse side of one of the player mats. Each one of these player mats has a nightmare on the back. This is the Nightmare of Envy. This one right here, let's see what we got here. This is the Primeval Fear Nightmare. And basically what's going to happen is there are these spook spaces where you'll place out dice, and you will place out the exact faces that are showing just in random colors drawn from the bag. You'll start at the bottom and then fill up to the top. All right, so we have the Spooks Row set up, and I'll talk a little bit about what that means and what you're trying to do to win. Basically, a lot of the solo mode is very similar to the multiplayer mode with just a few changes. These spooks are going to be moving down onto our player mat as we play the game. And basically what's going to happen is we have to kind of try and survive that or get 15 power. That's how you win. You'll either get 15 power or have a certain amount of power if all the spooks have come down onto your player board. You can't become a nightmare in the solo mode. Basically what's going to happen is you're going to awaken a nightmare if you fill up one of your rows and you have four spaces, just like in a two-player game. In the solo mode it takes 4. So you don't become a nightmare, but basically if you fill up, for instance, if I fill up the red row, I would awaken the red nightmare, and then I would have to, I wouldn't be able to return red dice to the bag. And at the end of the game, if you've survived and you've awakened any nightmares, you have to have 2 power on your board for each awakened nightmare to win, basically. So this is kind of what we're trying to do. And there's a mechanic in the game where you can re-roll some of these spooks dice and remove them from the player board to kind of make it easier to survive. Or you can just try and go for straight power. So there's a few changes in gameplay. One of the other really cool things about the solo mode is that the bosses, I kind of look at these as bosses. There's a Lady of Envy, there's a Primeval Fear boss and things like that. They each have special abilities or special conditions that will take place as you're playing them that makes gameplay feel fresh even in the solo mode. The Lady of Envy, for instance, if I have rolled and removed some of the spooks dice and created space up here, anytime I roll or re-roll my unresolved dreams, I can put the power that I spent for that up into the spooks row, and then I'll get it back later. So there's some really cool different changes depending on which boss you're fighting. But anyway, let's go ahead and get right into it, and you can just kind of see what the gameplay is like. The turn order is essentially the same, the sequence. You're going to pick a sleep track to kind of determine how deeply you want to dream. I like to, I'm kind of a chicken, so I like to kind of play it safe. I'll be a little bit riskier just for the playthrough so you can see, but I'm gonna pick the middle sleep track here, and we draw 4 random dreams from the bag. So we have got blue, red, and green, and actually I have a grouping of 3 blue right here, so I think I want to keep the blue. I'm gonna keep 2 dice and put 2 back in the bag just like in the normal game, and I'm gonna roll these blue and see what I get. Okay, so I've got power, which is really good because power will allow us to re-roll some spooks. So I'll go ahead and resolve the power first. That's the order that things are resolved in. And I've also got an exhaustion, which isn't too troubling just yet, although it could become troubling later. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and put this exhaustion here. Now, the special ability of the Lady of Envy says that I can spend power to re-roll any blue dice, and if there are spaces available up here, I can actually put this power up there and just get it back later. I haven't opened up any spaces yet, so I don't really want to use that special ability. So this is now kind of the end of my turn sequence. I have resolved all of my dreams. I don't have any filled rows. So now I can decide whether I want to push this a little bit further and draw more dice or go ahead and rest. So I think I'm gonna rest just because I want to kind of play it safe before I start getting a lot of dice on my board here. But what I'm gonna do before I rest is there is the reroll spooks action that you can take in the solo game After the resolve dice step, you can do this. You can take this as many times as you want. So I am going to spend this power to re-roll spooks. When you re-roll spooks, you can re-roll a blue if you wanted to, if it's by itself. But if you have dice that are grouped together in an adjacent manner, like this right here, you can re-roll all of them. So that is very cool. And this is one of the ways that you really survive. And if you re-roll and get power, you can remove it. So we were, holy cow, we were super lucky. We removed 2 dice here. So basically what I'm gonna do is I am going to take these, put them back in the bag. Some of the spooks have come off of the board, and then one of the spooks will go back, and anything else will shift down. So now what we've done is you can kind of see we've created some empty space up here that we can now fill up with power if we re-roll our dice in the pool. So now we're kind of getting some flexibility. So now it's at the end of my turn, and I'm going to go ahead and choose to rest. So when you rest in the solo game, you are going to move spooks from the bottom row into your player area. And you will move them to the row that matches the symbol that they have. And you can see as you re-roll certain dice, you may get power, you may get, power goes in the bag normally, but you may get exhaustion, you may get a hunt symbol, and whatever the symbol shows, you put that on these rows. Now, these are both dreams. They're all set up as dreams at the start, or shadows at the start of the game. And when you move them to your shadow rows here, these are not unresolved dreams, so you don't have to trigger the effects whenever you move these. These are basically just kind of like a timer, and they start to pile up, and you have to try and decide what you can remove and what you want to leave on the board. Because if you fill up your any row, then you will awaken a nightmare, and that is bad, okay? So let's go ahead and say I want to, after you move the spooks, you get to remove either all of your exhaustion or 1 shadow die. And I've got blue on the dream, and I've got yellow and red coming up. So I think I'm gonna go ahead and remove my 1 yellow shadow. And now we will start our turn again. So I am going to go ahead and I think I'll stick with the 4-track. I know it's a little bit risky, but I don't have too much piled up on my player mat yet. I have drawn yellow, let's see here. Yellow, blue, and red. I've got a grouping of red that I could try and re-roll. So I think I'm gonna get red, and then I'm gonna roll, and then I'm gonna go with yellow because I think the dice, yellow is a little bit safer than blue. So let's roll these and see what happens. Oh, that is bad. Okay, that's not good. Because I am going to have to, I'm gonna have to resolve these. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and resolve the red dream, the primeval fear, and I'm gonna move the blue dream over here to the hunt row, get rid of it and give me a little bit of flexibility here. And then I have to resolve the yellow dream, which says that I have to flip my exhaustion here to a shadow face. Now, that was a pretty bad roll, so I don't think I wanna go for 6 just now. I think I'm gonna hold off. I will go ahead and rest. So before I take my remove die action here as part of the rest, I will go ahead and move these 2 spooks down below. So I've got 2, let's see, 2 dreams on both of these tracks, and I don't have any one of those coming up very soon. I guess I'll go ahead and remove yellow because I have a yellow dream coming up on the next turn. And I will go ahead and I think I'm gonna take it a little bit safer and go with the 3 now and see if I can survive a little bit longer. Okay, great, I've got a green. Green is fantastic. So I'm gonna return these blue to the bag because I have a grouping of green right here. So that's really gonna help me out. If I can roll a power, but I didn't. Ooh. Let's see here. I have rolled, goodness, an envy shadow here, and there's not actually a next player. So what's supposed to happen here is when you resolve this, you're supposed to re-roll the first dream in your power row. I have no dreams in my power row, so I'm gonna assume that this does not take effect. Now, goodness gracious, okay, so I'm starting to have some dreams pile up here, but the Spooks row is going to give me a green and a blue, and I'm kind of okay there, so I think I actually may push it and see if I can get some power. I really need some power to start re-rolling some of these spooks and survive. So I've got 5 dice coming out. Here is one more. I definitely want to keep the green, and I think I want to keep the yellow. Actually, or do I want to keep the blue? Because I don't have, yeah, you know what? I'm going to keep the blue instead of the yellow because my blue shadow row is not too bad. Okay, so I have rolled a green power, which is great. And then I'm gonna have to resolve a blue shadow. So, okay, well, that's not ideal. So I have to draw and reroll one dream immediately. Okay, cool. I drew a blue power. That's not bad at all. Okay, cool. So now I am at the end of this turn step. I have not filled up any rows. I have resolved all of my dreams, and now if I want to, I can re-roll to try and get rid of some spooks, and I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna spend my 1 power and re-roll these 2 green spooks and see if I can get rid of them, hopefully. Come on. Big money, no whammies. Oh, crud. Yeesh. I knocked this one off. I think it was right here. Jeez, okay, sorry. I got a little bit aggressive with my dice roll here. Okay, so the exhaustion goes right back where it was. You can only remove spooks if you roll power, okay? So I did not get to remove any dice, but I would prefer an exhaustion to a shadow because you can get rid of multiples of those if they start to pile up. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and end my turn and rest. So I will get these 2 pulled down, and now I can remove one thing. So these dreams are starting to pile up. I'm gonna get green and yellow next turn, so I will go ahead and remove a green shadow, and then I will play it safe again. I'm gonna go ahead and start over by drawing 3 dice instead of the 4. Whoa, okay. Green aplenty, that is good. I need green. Because if I can re-roll some of those spooks again, that would be fantastic. Let's see if I can roll power. Yes, green, way to go. All right, so at the end of my first step here, I'm gonna go ahead and spend this green power to re-roll these 2 green spooks. Okay, so let's see if I can make this happen. Holy cow, look at that. 2 green power. I get to remove those. And then these will shift down. So that is really great. That is fantastic, actually. So now, so you can see how re-rolling these spooks will really help you out. And actually, since, well, do I want to? Gosh, now I kind of want to get some red dice and see if I can re-roll those the red. So I think I'm gonna push it one further before I end my turn here. I'm gonna get 5 dice from the bag, and oh, I think I'll pick. Okay, I'll keep at least 1 yellow because I drew 4 green. Let me give this bag a good shake. I've drawn a lot of green here recently. Okay, so I'm gonna roll these 2. And I rolled power, fantastic. And I rolled an exhaustion. So I'm gonna have to go ahead and resolve that exhaustion. But I think I will spend my yellow power to re-roll this yellow die and see if I can get rid of that one and move the red down to be really, nope, no luck. It's a shadow again. Oh well, that's okay. So I've resolved this exhaustion here. So I think I'm gonna go ahead and rest. I don't want to take a chance and get 7 because I'll probably fill up my exhaustion row here, and then I'd have to possibly remove some power, and that would be bad. So I think I'm gonna go ahead and end my turn. I'm gonna choose to rest. Before I do that, this will move down here, and this will move down here. So the blue is starting to fill up. I'm gonna get, red is looking bad as well. But I can survive. So what I'll do is I will remove the red in preparation for these 2 shadows coming down next turn, because otherwise I'll start to get in real trouble. But I need to worry about blue as well, because if I awaken a nightmare, I've got to have at least 2 power in my power row, and that is going to be cutting it close. Okay, so I'll try and maintain as much control as I can by having only 3 dreams here. Let's see if I can survive by doing that. Okay, fantastic. I drew a red. That is great. I'm going to keep the red, get rid of the yellow, and see if I can get rid of these 2 spooks. If I can... Oh, that's bad. It's actually not terrible, though. Although, yikes. Okay, so the way the timing works here, I wouldn't actually awaken a nightmare until my next turn if I went ahead and put this down here. And what I could do is, why don't I just go ahead and move this one to the hunt space, right? That's a legal move. So I'll do that, and I will end my turn, okay? And so when I end my turn, these spooks will come down, which this is starting to get really, really dicey. The pun absolutely intended. And I have basically 2 more turns here. So I'm gonna go ahead and, this is tricky. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and draw my 3 dice. I have drawn yellow and green. I'm going to keep the yellow because I want to potentially roll this power here. Oh gosh. Okay, this is bad. Is this bad? Yes, this is bad. Okay, so I'm going to have to resolve this dream, this shadow here, which will make me turn this to its shadow side, which this is starting to be really scary. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and end my turn after doing that. And I will fill up this row, but I have already gotten past the check for filled rows step. So this was not filled when that happens, which means this is okay for now. And I will go ahead and remove a yellow die. Now, I'm on my last turn here. If I can survive, I should be okay. So what I'm gonna do is try and maintain as much control as possible and only draw 3 dice. I'm on the verge of so many. Okay, man, I was really hoping I would draw a green and that would, okay. So if I roll an exhaustion, it's bad. If I roll a dream, it is bad. And any color I pick here is bad for me. Now, there are, let's see, 2 power... you know what? I'm actually okay if I roll a hunt face. So there's actually more safe sides on a red die for me than there are a yellow die. So I'm gonna roll the yellow die, or the red die rather, and see if I can eke out of here with... Oh! That's bad. That's really bad. Okay, well, I'm going to resolve an exhaustion. And what this means is I will be forced to rest. Let's see, I will check for filled rows, and this is filled, which means whenever you have exhaustion, you will have to draw dice from a bag. So you basically have to draw a random die from the bag and then return it and any power that you have that matches its color back to the bag. Now, I don't have any yellow power, so I'm not losing any power, but now I am forced to rest. So before I rest, I will go ahead and put this down here. Now, I am not awakening a nightmare because I'm already past the check for filled rows step. I'm forced to end my turn, so I'm okay without, I didn't technically awaken a nightmare. So what happens is now I rest and I will, well, you know, I guess I'll remove this exhaustion. Actually, you know what, I can just remove one of these shadows because it's gonna do the same thing, but shadows are hard to get rid of. And I remove that shadow, and with that, I believe I survive. So what has happened is there are no more spooks in the Spooks row, and I have no awakened nightmares, so I don't have to have the 2 power per nightmare. So this is the way that I have been playing it, and as you can see, this is the easy mode, and it's really tough. Because what's going to happen here is as these spooks start to fill up in your row, you really start to run out of time. And especially if you roll a lot of dice and resolve dreams, and you have to start filling up your exhaustion row and you're resolving these shadows, it can start to get really hairy really quickly. Now, there is also a hard variant basically on each card. So if you look at this Lady of Envy card right here, you can see hard says to win, you must have at least 4 power for each awakened nightmare instead of 2. So there's extra challenges that you can do here to make this even tougher. So a lot of fun. I've been playing this quite a bit solo over lunch at work because you can knock out, this probably took, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes to play through a really quick solo game. And it's quite a bit of fun to play through. So if you have a chance, check it out, see what you think. And if you like dice games, if you like push your luck, this one may be right up your alley. So that was the playthrough. I hope that it was helpful and I hope that you enjoyed it. Until next time, we will see you at the table.